The data is gone. While I was relaxing in a cafe, I overheard a beautiful woman at the next table mumble those words. The day before, I had just been fired for covering up a mistake made by a colleague, so I totally understood the panic and hopelessness that come with making a mistake. As a former engineer, I offered to help her and quickly restored her lost data. As we continued talking, a connection between me, the woman, and my colleague Joseph became clear, and my life took a complete 180 degrees turn. Hello everyone, welcome to Revenge Office. Today I'm going to share a new story with you. Let's get started. My name is Tom Wilson. I'm 46 years old, and I work as the assistant manager in the engineering department at Reynolds Corporation. I started this job after changing careers at 30, so it's been 16 years now. Time really flies. Joseph Taylor, my colleague who's 3 years younger than me, has also started being mentioned for a promotion. Our company doesn't follow a seniority system, so the harder you work, the faster you rise through the ranks. Joseph, despite being younger than me, is incredibly sharp and excels at everything he does. We work for a company involved in the food and beverage industry, and we've handled all kinds of projects over the years. Honestly, there's a lot of overtime, and sometimes I get called into client meetings out of the blue after work. Because of all the overtime, it's a pretty hectic job. Still, the reason I've stayed in this job is that the pay is much better than most people my age. I have a lot of hobbies and spend quite a bit of money on them during my days off, but I still manage to save quite a bit. I've been saving for the day I get married, but now that I'm 46, maybe I should just give up on marriage. Lately, that's all I've been thinking about. While I was struggling with these thoughts, something happened that pushed me even further into despair. Shortly after my 46th birthday, my colleague Joseph came to me for advice. "Tom, can we talk for a minute?" "What's up? You look serious." "Well, I really messed up this time. That project, which no mistake is allowed in." With that, Joseph began to confess that he had made a huge mistake. Recently, at Reynolds Corporation, we've been handling a project bigger than anything we've ever worked on before. Joseph and I are in the engineering department, and we're mainly responsible for system revisions and improvements requested by the client. Joseph is the primary lead on this big project, while I've been assigned as his assistant. Since it's Joseph's responsibility, I usually don't have to get too involved, but judging by the look on his face, I might need to step in more than I thought. I already delivered it, but then I realized there was a mistake. In that case, why don't you tell the client and have them send it back? They probably won't be too upset. That's the thing. I accidentally sent the system to another client instead. I was speechless. I couldn't believe Joseph had made such a basic mistake, and on top of that, he said it was sent to a completely different company. Apparently, the client had already seen the new system meant for someone else and had been calling Joseph nonstop. Joseph had been dodging the calls, pretending to be too busy, but they were also sending emails demanding an explanation. What am I going to do? My third kid is about to be born. If I get fired over this, it'll be okay. I don't think you need to worry that much. If you apologize sincerely, I'm sure they'll understand. But the client's already furious. Joseph never misses his work checks, so a careless mistake like this is extremely rare for him. "Look, I'll help you apologize. Let's just calm down for now." "Yeah, you're right. That's what I'll do." The next day, before apologizing to the client, Joseph and I decided to report the situation to our department manager. "What do you think the manager will say when we report this?" I asked. "He's definitely going to be furious," Joseph replied. Just as we were about to go and apologize first thing in the morning, the manager suddenly approached us and said something shocking. "You really did it this time." "I'm sorry," I said quickly. "No, not you, Tom. Aren't you going to apologize?" For some reason, the manager was directing his anger towards me, the assistant. It was at this moment that I should have realized this was a trap set to bring me down. I'm sorry, I heard you tried to steal Joseph's credit and made a mistake in the process. Wait, what? What's that supposed to mean? According to the manager, someone had told him that I was the one who made the mistake. Not only that, but I had supposedly stolen Joseph's project to take credit for it and boost my own chances for promotion. I would never do such a thing. The only truth here is that I didn't double-check everything as his assistant, I protested. So you're trying to pin the mistake on Joseph? That's a misunderstanding. I had no idea why this was happening, but I knew I was being set up as the bad guy. Manager, who told you something like that? I asked. It came in an anonymous email this morning. That's obviously a lie. Why would you believe it? Joseph, realizing I was being blamed, immediately tried to defend me. But then the manager said something that left us both frozen. Regardless of who's at fault, this mistake is unforgivable. You should both prepare for the possibility of termination. Of course, we've already received complaints from the client. With that, the manager walked away. What should I do if I get fired? How can I explain it to my family? Joseph muttered, his shoulders slumping. Seeing Joseph so downcast, I couldn't help but say, "You can just say I made the mistake this time." What? But I'm single. I don't have anyone to protect, so it's fine. Since I was single, I figured I could manage if I got fired. On the other hand, Joseph had a family to take care of. He would be in serious trouble if he lost his job right now. We've been working side by side since joining the company, and I knew what a good guy he was. It seemed better for me to take the fall and let him keep his job. Thank you. I owe you one. I'll never forget what you're doing for me, Joseph said, looking relieved. It's fine. Besides, I've been wanting to try out different kinds of work anyway, I replied. Then I immediately went to the manager and explained the situation. I told him I was the one responsible and that Joseph wasn't involved at all. I'm really sorry, I said. So you were trying to lie your way out of this, huh? I can't forgive that, the manager said coldly. I'm truly sorry. All I can do is apologize. My dismissal seemed practically certain, but that was fine. If I was being fired for protecting my comrade Joseph, I couldn't think of a more honorable way to go. However, the next moment, I was hit with a harsh reality. You really are just too good of a guy, you know. The manager sneered. Why are you laughing? I asked, confused. As soon as I returned to my desk after being scolded by the manager, Joseph came up to me laughing. Then he dropped a bombshell. You really think I'd make such a mistake? I deliberately sent the wrong system to the client. What? What do you mean? Explain yourself. You know that talk about a promotion. Apparently it was between me and you. To my shock, Joseph had devised a plan to ensure his promotion by sabotaging me. If I took the blame for him, that was fine. But if things didn't go as planned, he intended to keep anonymously sending false reports about me to the manager. Why would you do something like that? You've always been Anne. And just like that, I was betrayed by Joseph, someone I had thought of as a comrade and a close friend. I tried explaining the situation to the manager, but he wouldn't listen to a word I said. Don't bother coming in tomorrow. You're fired, he told me. That day, I packed up my things with a heavy heart and headed home. The next day, I didn't wake up until the afternoon. Even if I went to work, there was no place for me there, and by this time, no one had called from the office. Instead, I received an official termination notice via email from the manager. Consumed by an indescribable feeling, I found myself heading to a nearby café. I ordered a coffee and a sandwich and sat at one of the outdoor tables. I took a sip of the coffee, but I couldn't bring myself to eat the sandwich. I never expected to be betrayed by someone I trusted, and I had no appetite. What am I going to do now? As I was lost in thought, a woman sitting next to me quietly muttered something. My data is gone. I glanced over and saw a stunningly beautiful woman. She seemed pretty anxious, looking at her phone while searching for a solution. I used to be an engineer, so I think I can help restore it. Really? Could you take a look, please? Of course. This should be easy to fix. And just like that, I ended up helping the woman in distress. Thank you so much. I was really panicking because I have to meet a client soon. No problem. I'm glad I could help. A business meeting? Yes, my name is Jennifer. I work at Florence Corporation. As she said that, Jennifer handed me her business card. It turns out that Jennifer works at a company where her father is the CEO. She's 40 years old and, like me, single. A CEO's daughter? No wonder you have such graceful manners. That's embarrassing. Please don't say that. By the way, what's your name? I'm Tom. Actually, I was fired yesterday. Jennifer's eyes widened in surprise. It wasn't something I should have shared with someone I had just met, but I couldn't help myself. Fired? Why? To put it simply, I was betrayed by a colleague I was close to. That's awful. Oh, I need to go now. Please tell me more next time. With that, Jennifer closed her laptop and hurried out of the cafe. A week passed, and I spent my days cooped up at home. I knew I should be job hunting, but I just couldn't find the energy. For the time being, I figured I'd live off my savings while I took some time to recover mentally and physically. As I was lounging around in bed, I got a call from an unfamiliar number. Do you remember me? It's Jennifer, the woman you met at the cafe. Jennifer? What's going on? Actually, there's something I'd really like to talk to you about. When Jennifer gave me her business card, I had shared my number with her, but I never expected her to be the one to reach out. She said she'd prefer to talk in person rather than over the phone, so we arranged to meet at the same cafe where we first met. Sorry for calling you out of the blue like this. No problem. What can I do for you today? Well, if you haven't found a new job yet, would you consider working for us? To my surprise, Jennifer's company was short on engineers, and she wanted to hire me. She had already gotten approval from her father, the CEO. So, if I agreed, I'd be hired right away. But I've never even met your father, I said. When I told him about how you helped me, he said yes immediately. Jennifer replied. I thought about it for a while, but in the end, I decided to accept Jennifer's offer. 2 months passed. I stayed busy, and the incident with Joseph had almost faded from my mind. Then, out of nowhere, Joseph called me. Hey, it's been a while. How have you been? I'm doing fine. Why are you calling me? I was just curious how you're holding up. Got a new job yet? It was clear Joseph called just to be sarcastic. Sorry to disappoint you, but I found a new job pretty quickly and have already started working. Oh yeah. Where are you working now? At Florence Corporation. You know it well, right? Joseph didn't respond. It seemed like he was at a loss for words, and that made sense. Florence Corporation was the company Joseph had always said he wanted to join. Not only that, but it's also the parent company of Reynolds Corporation, where he works. You're telling me you got hired at Florence Corporation. Stop messing around. It's true. There's a company gathering coming up soon, right? I'm sure we'll run into each other there. Don't lie, you're just bluffing, aren't you? He thought I was lying about working for the parent company. Joseph kept denying what I said and eventually hung up on me. 2 weeks later, the gathering between the parent company and the subsidiary took place. As soon as I arrived, Joseph came over with a smug grin on his face. This area is off limits to outsiders, you know. Oh wait, are you working as event staff? What are you talking about? I told you I work for Florence Corporation. Come on, stop with the lies. It's embarrassing. It seemed Joseph thought I was pretending to work for the parent company by posing as event staff, but I wasn't. Denying it further wouldn't change his mind. Just as I was thinking that, I saw Jennifer approaching from a distance. Is that Jennifer? She's even more stunning in person, Joseph muttered. Tom, you're already here." Jennifer greeted me warmly. "What? You know Jennifer?" Joseph's face dropped. Seeing the CEO's daughter talking to me clearly made him nervous. He finally started to realize I was telling the truth about working at Florence Corporation. "I told you, I work for Florence Corporation." "No way, you actually." "Tom, who's this person?" Jennifer asked, looking puzzled. I introduced Joseph. "He's the colleague who framed me and got me fired." "Oh, so you're the one," Jennifer said, her tone sharp. "What are you talking about?" Joseph stammered, looking panicked. Jennifer, who knew all the details of my dismissal, shot Joseph a look of pure contempt. "Joseph, I'm fully aware of everything you did. I've already told my father, and we're currently discussing how to handle it." I don't know what you're talking about. You know exactly what you did to Tom. We won't forgive you for it." It turned out an internal investigation had been conducted at Reynolds Corporation without my knowledge. They were looking into why I was suddenly fired and who had set me up. "We received multiple testimonies saying you were jealous of Tom," Jennifer continued. "Who said that?" Joseph demanded, his voice trembling. "I can't reveal that, but soon enough, the truth of what you did will be clear to everyone." With those words, Jennifer turned and walked away, her hair swaying as she left. I had no idea such an investigation had been taking place. Joseph, caught off guard, must never have imagined his wrongdoing would be exposed. "What should I do if they find out what I've done?" Joseph muttered, clearly in panic. "This, I thought, is what they call karma. I think I'll just sit back and watch how this plays out. Come on, help me out. We're friends, right?" I left Joseph there and followed Jennifer for the rest of the gathering. Joseph had a vacant look in his eyes. Though some people were concerned, the rumors of his misdeeds had already spread, and no one felt the need to reach out to him. Everyone in the room probably assumed it would be the last time they ever saw him. Sure enough, a few days after the gathering, Joseph received his termination notice. Apparently, after interviewing all the employees, they found that someone had overheard the conversation between me and Joseph. It turned out to be one of those office gossips who was quick to provide testimony. Even more interesting, she had recorded part of our conversation. Not long after, I heard through the grapevine what had become of Joseph. Even after being fired, Joseph apparently couldn't bring himself to tell his family. Every day he'd put on a suit and pretend to go to work, only to spend the day killing time in the park before returning home in the evening. However, a neighbor saw him in the park, and soon his wife found out. When his wife confronted him, Joseph admitted he'd been fired, but he didn't explain why. So when she contacted Reynolds Corporation, she heard the whole story about how Joseph had set me up and got me fired. Naturally, she was furious. A father about to welcome his third child doing something so despicable was unforgivable. She stormed out of the house with those words. Joseph was served divorce papers and is now facing criticism from his relatives as well. Although he hasn't signed the papers yet, his wife has hired a lawyer, so it seems like only a matter of time before the divorce is finalized. If he hadn't taken such a cowardly route, he might have been promoted and could have lived happily with his family. I found myself thinking that as I reflected on my memories with Joseph. 5 years after I started working at Lawrence Corporation, I was promoted to head of the engineering department. It seems my work was recognized. For a moment, I wondered if Jennifer had favored me, but it turns out that wasn't the case. It was my colleagues who had recommended me for the position, saying I was the right person for the job. I'm sure the reason things turned out this way is because I've always been sincere with everyone I've dealt with. Congratulations. I'm so happy for you. Thank you. It's all thanks to you, Jennifer. It's just that your talent was recognized. Tonight, we're celebrating my promotion to department head at a nice restaurant. We're also using this time to talk about what we want to do with our lives moving forward. To tell the truth, Jennifer and I got married 3 years ago. since becoming husband and wife. We've both worked hard and supported each other. At our age, having kids is difficult, so we decided to live our lives as just the two of us. We both enjoy our work and have kept at it, but now we're finding ourselves with more money than we know what to do with, so we decided to discuss how to spend it. I'd love to go traveling, maybe even around the world. That sounds great. Let's go and we can take some extended time off. Really? Are you serious? Yeah, Jennifer beamed with joy at the thought of traveling the world. I never imagined I'd be lucky enough to have such a wonderful wife. When I was betrayed by Joseph, I was completely in despair, but that actually changed my life in the totally opposite direction. So maybe I should be thankful to Joseph, in a sense.